My ex is staying for a week, my girlfriend said, her voice flat, almost rehearsed. If you're uncomfortable, you can leave. The words hung in the air like smoke from a fire I hadn't noticed was already burning. I stared at her, trying to decide if I'd misheard, but her expression didn't flicker. Calm. Controlled. Like someone who'd already played out this scene in her mind 100 times. Leave. I repeated, forcing a small laugh, one that tasted bitter in my mouth. You mean like for the week? If you want, she said, eyes dropping to her phone. I just don't want you to feel awkward. It's only 7 days. 7 days. The way she said it, soft, dismissive, like 7 days wasn't enough time for a world to collapse. I looked around the apartment we built together over 2 years. Her jacket was draped over the couch, a candle burned on the counter, and her shoes, the ones I'd bought her for her birthday, were lined up neatly by the door. It was our life, ordinary and familiar, but suddenly it all looked like a set piece for a play I didn't remember auditioning for. I tried to keep my tone casual. So you're ex-Mark, right? She nodded. He's in town for work. Needed a place to stay. Hotels are expensive. Hotels are expensive, I echoed, staring at her like I was studying a stranger's face. She finally looked up, irritation flashing in her eyes. You're making this weird. It's not a big deal. Not a big deal. That's how it always started. The soft, disarming tone, the quick deflection. But somewhere in my chest something twisted. I didn't say anything though. I told myself I was being paranoid, insecure. After all, she was the one who'd chosen me. She said I was the safe one. The steady one. That night I lay awake while she scrolled on her phone, the blue glow painting her face. When she smiled faintly at something on the screen, my stomach clenched. I wanted to ask, was that him? But I didn't. Because love, real love, or at least the version I believed in, wasn't supposed to be built on suspicion. The doorbell rang the next evening. I opened it and there he was. Mark. Taller than me. The kind of confident that came from never being told no. His smile was polite but edged with something sharp. Hey man, he said, extending a hand. Thanks for letting me crash here. I shook it automatically, his grip firm, deliberate. Behind him, Claire appeared, grinning wider than she had in weeks. She hugged him tightly, lingering a moment too long. His hands rested on her lower back. My throat went dry. Wow, you look exactly the same, she said, laughing. So do you, he replied, voice low. That night, they stayed up late in the living room. I heard them laughing through the wall. At first, I told myself it was harmless nostalgia. But then the laughter softened into quiet murmurs. I couldn't make out words, only the rhythm of familiarity, of shared history. By midnight I couldn't take it. I opened the door quietly. The living room was dim, lit only by the TV glow. They were sitting close, too close. His hand brushed hers and she didn't pull away. I went back to the bedroom, shut the door and stood there for a long time, breathing hard. My chest felt like it was filled with stones. The next morning she acted normal. Made coffee. Asked about my plans for the day. I wanted to scream, you know exactly what you're doing. But instead I said, I didn't sleep much. She gave a small, sympathetic smile. You should try not to overthink things. Overthink. The favorite word of liars. By day 3 I was unraveling quietly. Every glance, every whisper felt deliberate. When she touched his shoulder while passing by, I told myself it was friendly. When he complimented her cooking, I told myself I was being jealous. But the smallest things started to break me. A stray toothbrush on the sink that wasn't mine. A faint cologne I didn't recognize lingering in the hall. A text she quickly flipped her phone over to hide. I was dying by 1,000 little betrayals, each too small to accuse but too sharp to ignore. That night I sat on the balcony, pretending to scroll through my phone. Through the sliding door I could see them on the couch again, laughing softly. She leaned into him, her hand brushing his knee. My chest tightened until it hurt to breathe. When she finally came to bed, she smelled faintly of whiskey, and something else. Something that wasn't mine. Do you still love me? I asked quietly in the dark. She froze. What kind of question is that? Just answer it. A long silence. Then, of course I do. But the words felt empty, like a song played out of tune. The next morning I woke up early. The living room was empty but her phone was on the counter charging. I shouldn't have. I knew that. But when trust starts to rot, curiosity turns into survival. I opened her messages. Mark. Last night was a mistake. But God, it felt right. Claire, don't say that. I don't know what I'm doing anymore. My vision blurred. The walls seemed to close in. I read it again, slower this time, hoping I'd misunderstood. But the words stayed the same. Heavy, undeniable, final. When she walked in a few minutes later, I was still standing there, phone in hand. Her eyes widened. You went through my phone? I didn't answer. I just stared at her and she knew. For a moment she looked like she might cry. But then something shifted in her. Her shoulders straightened, her voice turned cold. You shouldn't have done that. I laughed, a raw broken sound. That's what you're focusing on? She looked away. It wasn't supposed to happen. He's just familiar. You and I, we got too comfortable. Comfortable. Like our love was a sweater she'd outgrown. I wanted to rage, to scream, to make her feel the same helplessness clawing through me. But instead I said nothing. I just nodded, numb as the silence swallowed us. Later, when Mark packed his bag and left without a word, she stood by the window, arms crossed. Are you leaving? She asked. I don't know, I said honestly. Maybe I should. She turned to me, eyes glassy. I didn't mean to hurt you. I almost believed her. That night I did leave. I drove aimlessly until the city lights disappeared in the rearview mirror. My hands gripped the wheel until my knuckles went white. Somewhere between anger and exhaustion, I realized something cruelly simple. Love doesn't end with betrayal. It just changes shape. It becomes something quieter, colder. And as I watched the sunrise spill across the highway, I understood that what hurt most wasn't losing her. It was realizing she'd already left long before she ever said the words.